Okay, everybody. Hey, Dr. Lenora.
Hello.
All right. All right. So let me, what I've done is I have it on Felicia's page right now. You guys can just share as we usually do on Facebook. And then we're going to wait for Felicia to get hop on Zoom.
That's me. Okay.
All right. So do me a favor. Make sure that if your Facebook is on, make sure you turn off the audio on your Facebook. Otherwise, we'll hear echo.
Right.
All right. Let me see. I had to go in and shut down.
Hey, Florida, how are you? Thank you for joining. Please, can you share? We know that quite a few people will be on their way to church or in church or, but we're going to do the best we can with what we got right now. All right. So that echo that you hear is somebody's, the only thing that you want on is, if you're on laptop, that's the only sound you want, but you want to turn off the Facebook volume. If you have your Facebook open on that same laptop, make sure you turn off the volume.
If you mute, can you guys see me? I don't see you on the screen.
You don't see who?
No, Felicia.
I can see you all.
Where is Felicia? Oh, okay. Wait, tell her to hold on.
Oh, she got to let you in. Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
I'll see you off to the side.
All right, there we go. All right, there we go.
Though.
You gotta turn your because you're sideways, so you gotta turn it.
You gotta go up and down, Felicia.
Oh, okay.
I know it's that thing that's.
I have to change this device out.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. Okay, hold on 1 second.
See anything?
Okay, I see. We are here. So now we're here. This is on Facebook.
On your page? Yeah, that's community. So we're in community. Fearless Visionaries community. But we already in there in that one. So go on your community on that one.
We are live on FeeNominal radio show with our host, Felicia Michelle Hampton. So take it away when you're ready, if you're ready.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another great show, FeeNominal Radio. This morning, we have Fearless Visionaries in the studio with us this morning and also via Zoom. We have Fearless Visionary, Tear the Veil. It's about 18 incredible women who have experienced and overcome unspeakable horrors, empowering other women and equipping men to push against limitations and address their silent monsters. This is just not about ordinary stories. These stories are empowering, they're healing, and unveiling atrocities which have been committed against these extraordinary women. Tear the veil. Today I have with me Dr. Princess Fumi Muhammad Hancock. Dr. Fumi Hancock is an African princess living in the diaspora, is a psychiatric mental health doctor of nurse practice, and author of 24 books, wow, 14 amazing best-selling authors, publisher, online TV show host, an award-winning filmmaker, and the founder of Ask the Web Psych NP. I just want to say this morning, Dr. Fumi Hancock, thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. Thank you for having me.
Yes, good morning. I also have in the studio this morning Dr. Leonora Muhammad. Dr. Muhammad is a doctor of nurse practice, specializing in adult geriatric care. Senior Director of the Quality Improvement and Patient Safety in the field of corrections, a healthcare consultant, freelance photographer, and executive secretary to Black Nurse Association of Greater St. Louis. And now she is a best-selling author. She also was just chosen as a finalist. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
As a finalist for the St. Louis Magazine of Excellence in Nursing Practice and a recipient of the 2017 MBNA Under 40 Award and the 2018 NBA Administrative Nurse of the Year. We also have in the studio Sister Ramona Jones. Thank you for joining us this morning. I appreciate you. Ramona is a fearless visionary, a poet, a best-selling author, transformational speaker, entrepreneur, small group ministry leader, and mental health first aid ally. As a technical writer and instructional developer, Ramona helps organizations develop strategic and user communication and user support training. She also coaches, mentors, and encourages women to bloom in faith and live in hope to provoke their change that leads to their freedom. In all areas of life, she uses creative language and technology to tell stories, inspire, instruct, and inform to transform. I love it. Inform to transform.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Welcome to the FeeNominal Radio Show. We thank you for tuning in this morning. We thank you all for just being a part of this platform. I wanted to bring Fearless Visionary, Tear the Veil, to the audience, to the people, because this project, this mission, it stimulates healing. And as I was reading, it's not just here in the United States, not just here in Missouri, not just in St. Louis, but globally. And Dr. Fumi Hancock, we thank you for bringing Fearless Visionary to the people, to the women, and to the men, because we know, I know, it's going to change lives. Dr. I can't see her.
Okay, just
Good
right
morning.
to the left.
Yeah,
There
so
you
I'll just say Dr. Fumi, and I'm fine. just say princess. That's easy, princess.
Good morning, Princess.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
Tell
you for
me,
having us.
how did you bring 18 visionaries to the project, what spearheaded it, and how did you gather the women? What was your selection process?
Oh my goodness. Let me just say, if the Lord does not build the house, those who labor, they labor in vain. Let me just start with that. If God does not build the house, those who labor, they labor in absolute vain.
Yes.
Last year, I had the opportunity to go and work out of Saudi. I was in Saudi for, I think, almost a year. And that was my time where I had this come to Jesus moment where I needed a change. I knew God was moving me and shifting me. Prior to that, I had run other sister tribe. I had done a couple of other things prior to going to Saudi. But when I was in Saudi was when God began to show me that there are women out there that have similar stories or even more gruesome stories than myself. And he began to tell me why it was important for us to bring these stories together. Now, let me share this. There are other compilations out there, but ours is not a compilation of story. It's a book of missions. And you will know that everybody that's connected with us connect with the mission, not just the story, because our stories is meant to bring healing to those who we come in contact with, men, women. And those who we come in contact with are transformed. And it's their transformation that ultimately becomes a social reformation. And so because of that, we came together by the power of the Holy Ghost. God allowed me to see beyond what they wrote. Because the first thing that I did was I reached out to everybody, right? I just sent it out and see who would bring in and tell me their stories. And so God allowed me to see and look beyond what they first told me. And Dr. Lenora and Ramona will tell you that the system that they went through is like nothing out there, because I wanted it to be pure. I wanted it to be straight from their gut so that people can really align with their stories. And because of that, I had to take them through things that even many of them were like, oh, this is very painful, you know, because they came giving me all this kind of shenanigan kind of stories, right? They came with their mask on, thinking that the Holy Spirit would not see, right? So they came with a mask on, telling me all these stories that they thought I wanted to hear. But what we found out with working with all these beautiful powerhouse women, I've worked with them for at least 3 or 4 months before we even went to the process of writing at all. And what God allowed me to see was, okay, yeah, but. And Dr. Lenora is one of them that she would write, and she would write one little thing and she would hop onto something else. And the Holy Spirit let me see that. See, she's hiding. She's hiding. She don't want to tell that story. And that's the story she needs to tell. So it's just God. God allowed us to come together, because how many times do we hear, oh, women can't work together, they can do this? Well, we have our own pet beef too. We argue. Don't get me wrong now. We argue, just like if any family do. We argue. But at the end of the day, the mission to bring personal transformation and social reformation, that was pivotal to everyone, regardless of where they come from. That was our focus, and that is what is pushing us now.
All right, absolutely. So to social reformation, and that's what pushed it. How did you reach out to the 18 women? Because I'm sure there were others.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing something from one of your YouTube videos that said there were some great women out there.
That's right.
And that you had in mind, but you chose these 18.
That's right.
What was the process? What did that look like?
Well, the first thing that I did, because I do have a staff that do trailers for me. And so they set out to create a trailer. And the trailer was telling my story and inviting people, other women, to come and share their stories with me. Now, I'm also a filmmaker. So the way that I think is kind of different from just a literal person. I think in films. And for me, last year, there was a first set that I did, that I actually did the documentary, Fearless Visionary, Tear the Veil won. And the documentary won a lot of awards that now made me think, oh, okay, we got something going on here. Perhaps we need to pedal back and start with the book first. So what I did was the video, which in the next few months, people are going to start seeing that video all over again, because we're getting to a point where it's going to be time now to start looking for the next 18 women to be the VIP Fearless Visionary. So the videos were out there, right? Many of them I actually did not reach out to. They reached out and said, oh, we saw the video. Now, Dr. Lenora came at I tell you, bravo. I have to do this for her, because she came at the end of, I didn't want nobody anymore at this point, because it was just like, ooh, it was just, I just didn't want anybody. But she came at the complete end of the whole first process. And she said to me, I promise you, just get me in and walk with me, and I'll do whatever I need to do to make it happen. I said, well, are you sure you can do this? She said, I can do it. And she did it. So that was the first thing. Videos. You're going to start seeing trailers of videos of these women and inviting other fearless visionaries. The second thing is I tell them to tear the veil. The book is Tear the Veil. And when I say tear the veil, I'm not saying tear how you look great. I'm saying really tear the veil. So people are going to send me their stories, just a paragraph of their stories. And as I prayerfully consider it, many were called, few were chosen. And out of that few, even few said yes. Now, in fact, there was a couple, like two, that I really believe that God called them to this project, and they said no. And they said no. And now, I bet if I went back to them and asked them, they would say, if I had known, I should have just trusted and just joined in. So a few, maybe a quarter were invited. The majority reached out after seeing the video.
Okay, excellent. Now you said something very powerful. You said, tear the veil. Tell us what that means.
Whew. Tearing the veil is each one of us have a mask on. Either we like it or not. I know we want to come out looking great, but each one of us have a mask on. If you don't have a mask on in the area of relationship, you might have it in the area of your business. You might have it in the area of career. We each have a mask on. And so what I saw in my spirit was women just doing this, ripping it apart. Now, when you rip it, there's going to be pain in it. When you take it, when you do this and rip something, there's going to be pain. So when you say tear the veil, it's literally telling them that, look, when you are in this process of tearing the veil, you're going to heal yourself, heal other people, but it's going to come with pain. So tearing the veil is saying you're going to look beyond the stories you've told everybody about yourself. You're going to look beyond the things that people think you are, and you know you're not. You're going to ignore all those things, and you're going to go to the core of who you are, the core of whatever the problems that you might be facing, maybe a generational curse or something, and you're going to say, you know what? I've been carrying this secret for too long. I choose to say no. I choose to say I'm stopping all this cycle of silence, all this cycle of secrecy. I'm stopping it right here. It stops with me. I choose not to pass it on to any other generation. So that's what tearing the veil means to us. Tearing the veil means we are making sure that no generation beyond us have to deal with what we've dealt with. I have women on our platform right now that even till now, they're still being threatened by family members because they tore the veil. So this is really deep. We're saying we don't care about the consequences anymore, because there's a greater need, there's a greater mission, right? Those of us who are watching, if you are in the Christian world, we know about Queen Esther, Hadassah, and Mordecai. Queen Esther lived for others. What she was, she became a queen, not just to look pretty, but she became a queen because of a social reform that was needed. Being a queen transformed her, but her transformation turned into a social reformation for her people. This is what we're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing, and definitely changing lives. I just want to say that through this book, Tear the Veil, that we will definitely break through that concrete of silence.
Yeah.
And we will expose so people can heal. When you mentioned queen, I did read in I think of volume 2, it talked about queen and what a queen is. Can you elaborate on that for us?
Well, in both the volumes, my queen, Queen Olori Adebayo, she is the queen of the current king in my region right now. The current king is my uncle. We have ruled in the southwestern region. My family has ruled in that southwestern region since the 1280s. So my uncle is the current king. And so when we started this project, I prayerfully tried to figure out who can we use as the forward. I could easily go find an actress or a movie star, somebody who's done one of my movies before. But when I prayerfully considered it, I looked at the stripes that my women carry on their backs. I look at even the stripes that they're still carrying right now, and I saw queens. And I said, well, what better way to really make this phenomenal by actually reaching out to the queen? So when I reached out to her, she did not even blink. She didn't even blink. She was like, wow. And she read, I sent her a few of the stories and she read them. She was like, oh my God. And I knew who she was already because she is somebody too who does social reformation in that region in Nigeria. So it was easy for her to just say, you know what, I'm going to carry them on my wings too, because as a queen, I recognize that queenship in them too. Yes, they're bruised. Yes, they're hurting. Yes, they've been through, but they are queens. They are queens. And those that are doing social injustice, like people like Florida, who is fighting for his son, her son who got accused of rape, right? She also sees the prince in him. And she said, well, I'm going to just do this forward. So what you read about the role of a queen was actually written by the king. King is His Royal Majesty, King Adebayo. He wrote that. I didn't even ask for that. But after him reading what the queen wrote, he began to say, you know what, I need to write so that people can understand where they come from. So that my women, the women that you're carrying, can understand the power that they have inside of them. And he wrote the role of a queen, because each one of us are queens in our home. You guys gonna have to purchase that book to really read it, because when he sent it to me, I was blown away, like, wow, this is good for somebody who has been hurting, for somebody who is in pain, for somebody who feels like they're nothing or nobody, for somebody who feels like they've been overlooked. When you read what the king wrote about the role of a queen, and the queen saying, you guys are my princesses, you are my queens, wow. It does something. It does something to your mindset.
Yes, yes. He wrote here, equally is the importance is keeping of the culture, tradition, and teaching the young ones, especially the females. And I just thought that was very powerful and very deep, because what's happening with Fearless Visionaries in Tear the Veil is that we're going to teach those young ladies that are silent right now, don't know how to speak, want to speak, scared to speak, threatened not to speak, to speak today. And I'm telling you, this is moving to me. You understand?
That's right.
Because we're about being fearless, and we hear fearless all the time. Fearless, fearless, and people say fearless so much that it's almost minute in the word. But we stand today to say we have 18 fearless visionaries, and I'm sitting in the room with 3 and via Zoom with Princess Fumi. I appreciate you. Fearless, expound on that word. Why we chose fearless?
We are what we believe.
Absolutely.
About ourselves, and what we believe about ourselves dictate the words that we use, right? So if we say, I am so tired of this, and every time you wake up and you say you're so tired, well, don't be surprised when you wake up being tired every day, right? So our words are very powerful. And so that it says, call the things that are not as if, right? Call the things, right, as if they are. So if you are feeling like you are not fearless, the more you tell yourself that you are fearless, there's something that happens even scientifically in your brain that enables you to now begin to walk like somebody who is fearless, to begin to look at your life and say, you know what? Yeah, I might not be feeling it right now, but I know that I'm fearless. So at some point, your body, your mind, everything catches up to that word. And when you speak a word, what happens? It does not return void. When you speak that word out and you say, I am a fearless visionary, it doesn't return void. It goes out and accomplishes exactly what you've called it to accomplish. So when you say that I am a fearless visionary, you are speaking that word out. The word is out in the atmosphere. It is activated in the atmosphere. And don't be surprised when things, opportunities start opening the doors around you, which is what is going on with my Fearless Visionaries right now. The very first thing that we did, we were in the Capitol Hill through one of the Fearless Visionary. Then the next thing, we were in United Nations through one of the Fearless Visionary. Then we blinked, we just came back from London. And in London, we had 2 events with the university and then and a church. Then before we blink, we were in France. Now we're back home and we're on our way getting ready to go to Canada. So when you speak the word out, it opens doors for you. That word opens doors for you. It helps you. Now, let me say this. It's not just about speaking the word, because these women, they were together in a group called the VIP group. That it's a secret group. We were working it out. Weren't we, ladies? We were working it out. And as they were trying to hide things, things would just come out of their mouth. The truth would just come out bloop like this, like, ooh. I guess we
raising the veil, but not ripping it.
Ooh, yes, they were some were not even raising the veil. They were making me think they were raising the veil, making everybody think they were raising the veil. And then they come into the VIP and say, okay, my bad. Let me just tell the truth right here. Let me just tell the truth. So these women are seasoned women that have gone through, I don't know what other people do with their books, but because this is a book of mission, they go through. We do therapy right in the group, right, ladies? Therapy, yeah. People crying, people weeping, everybody patting each other. There are people, talking mess about, talking mess to each other, saying, get a grip. It was a clinic. The VIP room that we have, which is something that everybody else is going to have, the next 18 or the next whichever one God calls me to do, they're going to be part of that VIP group too. And in that VIP group, it is a clinic. It's empowerment. Serious, y'all. Clinic. Every one of my authors will tell you that what they went through is not like anything that they've ever been through before. Not like it. It's different, because I just don't want people to tell their stories. I want them whole. Not just whole alone, but I need solutions, because ever so often you have people there with all these stories, but there are no solutions. And what we bring, what makes Fearless Visionaries different, is that we offer solutions. We're not just coming to you and saying, ooh, woe is me, feel sad for us. We actually tell you, by the way, before we start telling you our stories, do not feel sorry, because this is us stepping out to fulfill our destiny. We ain't trying to look for anybody to feel sorry for us, but we're trying to make you think about where you are and saying, hey, if they can do it, I can do it. Because many people are in the graveyard today with secrets, and they never fulfill their destiny because they were so concerned about the perpetrator, or concerned about what would the family think, or concerned about all this other kind of stuff. And now we're passing out all these stupid secrets. We're passing it on, which is the sad part. We're passing it on to our children, our boys, our girls, and they're inheriting something that they have absolutely no clue how to tackle.
Yes, yes. Because when you have a child and you have not healed, then unconsciously you pass on certain things to that child.
That's
and
right.
They take on certain characteristics, and even if it was not a part of their personality, it becomes a part of who they are just by the relationship with the person that is raising them.
That's right.
And you see that in a home, and what we call it, the effects of that is adverse childhood experiences. You understand? And then when that child grows up, he's dealing with all of that, or she's dealing with all of that. And so it takes a healing. I want to switch to Dr. Muhammad and just ask this morning, and thank you, Princess, for sharing so much with us this morning.
Can we have Ramona? Can you lower that Facebook thing, because it's echoing?
Right, I'm trying to.
All right. Otherwise, just shut it down. So okay.
Okay, I think we are back. Yes. So, Dr. Muhammad.
Yes.
What is kind of, I want to look at you and look at the film. So I'm gonna look at you on here. So, Dr. Muhammad, how did you hear about Fearless Visionary Turn the Veil, and what made you want to be a part of it?
She is the queen of, because and what was part of the process we went through is just constantly putting things on social media, so that it's out there, we seeing what's happening, what's going on. And that one thing that I seen from Princess, I seen it on Facebook saying, hey, do you want to be a part of, a book of missions, a project? And I know when I was younger, I always felt like I eventually wanted to write a story. Maybe I had a story to tell, but I just wasn't that type of person to just go ahead and just act on that. And so when I seen Princess videos on there saying, do you want to be a part of a mission? I said, okay, I need to check this out. And one thing that I went through in my life is like, I don't make hasty decisions. So I kind of sit back and observe and see if something is right for me and right for my spirit. And so when I constantly kept seeing those videos from Dr. Princess Fumi, I was like, okay, this is meaning something. I need to tap into this. I need to check this out and see what's going on. So I eventually reached out to Dr. Princess, and like she said, at the last minute, she let me come into the last minute, and like I promised that I get it done because. And actually, me and Princess, how we actually met was in our DNP program, in the Doctor of Nursing program at Bremen University. And if anybody had went through a graduate degree program or a Doctor of Nursing practice program, it's tedious. It's a lot of work. It can be challenging, and there's lots to do. And so I know we could get through that. I can get through writing my story as quick as I can, and being able to hit my deadlines that Dr. Princess put in place. So that was originally how I got into the project.
You were going to school and writing?
No, I met Princess back in 2012.
Okay.
And when we was in the DNP program, so that's how I met her. So yeah, we were out of the program. We got out of the program in 2015, but we had little connections here and there from 2015 to currently 2018. But that's how life works. You meet people in your life, people come into your life for a reason, and then they came in for a reason, and it leads you to something else. Because I had no idea that I would be actually writing a book and being part of something like this. But you meet people, and then it guides your life, and it takes you to a place that you didn't even think you could ever go.
Yes. And in your field, because you are correctional healthcare nurse, in your field, I know that you see or have seen people that have been imprisoned.
Yes.
And a lot of times what held them hostage is what got them in captivity in prison.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons that it was so important to me. And actually, if you get the book, if you buy Tear the Veil, I talk a little bit about that in my chapter about getting into the field of corrections, because one thing that happened in my life is, and I'll just share just a little bit, but I ain't gonna share everything because you got to go out there and get that book, okay? I grew up in the Ville neighborhood of St. Louis. So if you're here in St. Louis, Missouri, you know where I'm talking about, north side of St. Louis. And it's tough there, and it's crime, and it's poverty, and it's people that are just living life. They just trying to make it. And sometimes they make bad decisions that they shouldn't make, but they are making those decisions because they just trying to survive. They just trying to put food on their table. They just trying to take care of their children. They just trying to just live from day to day. And they eventually, make these decisions that land them in a place like a correctional facility. And a lot of the different topics that we talk about in Fearless Visionaries Tear the Veil is some of those things that those people in those communities and in those environments suffer from. We talk a little bit about PTSD. We talk about depression, suicidal ideations, infidelity, all of those things. We talk about in the book, and a lot of those people that are incarcerated, a lot of those women that are incarcerated, those have happened to them. Sexual abuse. How many people do we know? How many people do we know that have been molested by their family members? How many people have been touched by friends of the family? We come over for Sunday dinner, we come over after an event or some kind of card party. I know we used to playing cards, in our community, and everybody's gathered there, but we're not worried about about what the kids doing in the other room, you know, and who's over there with the kids in the other room. And so a lot of the women that are incarcerated at this time have went through similar things like that, which, you know, unlike us, we trying to tear the veil, but a lot of people hold those things inside. They don't want to talk about it. They keep it sheltered because they feel like, you know, how is somebody going to think about me? What is somebody going to think about me? You know, and they're afraid to talk about those things. And then that kind of leads them to make bad choices and bad decisions that leads them into a correctional facility. So when I got into corrections, I really realized that those people that I'm taking care of in the correctional field are those same people that I grew up with in my neighborhood, and people that I've seen and people that I know. And that really just gave me the passion to want to work in corrections and continue on working with these group of ladies and men.
And it is safe to say, thank you for sharing it. It's safe to say that that's from your perspective here in St. Louis, but it sounds and it's just really, I'm trying to say, happens everywhere across the world. That's stories like for everyone globally.
Yes, you know? Absolutely. Poverty is not something that just happens in St. Louis. It's a ghetto. It's a hood in every single major city everywhere in the nation and across the world. It's just different levels of poverty. You know, it's just different levels of in what we see and what people go through. So that poverty is not unique just to me, you know. And when Princess brought us to this group, she said, and like she said, we went through a process. It wasn't just, okay, we're going to write a story, we're going to put it out there. We really had to dig in deep and think of it from a global perspective, not just talk about what's happening in my area, in my neighborhood, but globally. How can my story touch a little girl over in Nigeria, Africa? How can my story, what I'm talking about and what I'm going through, how can that touch that person that's in Saudi Arabia? You know, and so Princess made us think of our stories from a global perspective. And that's wonderful, because as we started sharing in our VIP group, we learned, and I'll just talk about J.K. Frederick, her story. She's one of our Fearless Visionaries, where she talked about female genital cutting. You know, a lot of us had never heard of that. A lot of us had heard of it, but once she started to tell her story, we thought it was just happening where she was at. But then come to find out, it happens in America too, and it happens in Asia, and it happens, you know, all across the globe. So, you know, that was, I think, Princess's vision, is to say, it's not just what's happening to you and your story, is how can your story help that little girl or help that little boy that's in India that's getting kidnapped in a rice sack. That's Dana Priyanka Hammond, one of our other Fearless Visionaries, has a story about that. How can our stories help these other people heal and be and empower them and enable them to share their story and open up and begin to tear their veil?
Right.
Absolutely. Just reading a piece here, it says that, and thank you for sharing, either a young girl is raped in Nigeria or America, rape is the same.
That's
Whether
right.
a young baby was stolen in America or in India, the ripple effect on that child when he or she grows up is the same, which means they could end up in the correctional center.
Yes.
Right? It's the same. Or they can end up in an insane asylum, or they can end up just out on the street using drugs or in a bad relationship. It's the same. Whether a mother dies from cancer in Kenya or in Camden, New Jersey, the effect the death will have on a young family is the same. And that's why we come today to share with you the story of 18 fearless women, visionaries, to tear the veil, because this is just not something like we say, we sitting in the U.S. and we hear about the power of us, right? But we talk about the power of us globally.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
A global mission, yes.
Yes, a global mission. And so we have here also with us Sister Ramona Jones. Tell us what made you want to be a part of this mission?
Well, initially, and first of all, thank you for having us here with you today, Felicia. So happy to be part of this interview. And so I've been knowing Princess since about what, 2016.
Okay.
And so I started working with her, and at the time, and actually a piece of my story, a day in the life of my story, is actually part of a shorter book that I wrote, a short read, Your Legacy Voice, the Prelude to Your Breakthrough. Because I found her in the time I was going through the divorce, and I had to heal from that. So that book was a book of healing. And then I was part of Sister Tribe. I had also been displaced from my job. So, and dealing with some health issues. So I was going through a lot of stuff at the time and trying to find my way. Who am I? Where am I going? And so I found Periscope, and I found Princess on Periscope. Okay. And so I started working with her, and because I had a lot of time on my hands, you know, just healing and just on Periscope, I became part of the World Changers Sister Tribe, doing a lot in the background. So I already had a full story there, because even that story was just getting to a piece of it, you know, and trying to just stand on the story instead of in it. And so that was a short little piece there. And so by the time Princess went to Saudi and came back and things were shifting, and then she said, you know, we're going to pull this book together, because I already knew about her other project, Fearless Visionary, the documentary that she had did before. So I was familiar with her work. And I've always been kind of like a solo person, although I come from a big family. You know, my mother had 10 children, and I'm in the middle there, but I would always kind of be to myself, kind of a loner. So kind of always trying to do it on my own. Yes. And so when the opportunity came, I was like, you know what, I need to write again, because that was 2017 that book came out. I mean, 2016 that book came out, and I hadn't really written anything except in my journals. And so I said, you know what, I need to start writing again. And I need to not just try to do this thing alone. So because we're pulling women together. So at first that was just the original intention. Just so I can start writing again and start connecting with other people. But then when we started writing, it was, you think, let's go deeper. And it's like, well, even though I had come past for story. He's just a part of it, but this is your story. And then
that's
just
a message in itself.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. And so I had to get over that, you know, like, okay, it's my story, I need to tell it. And then the other part was when I came into the group and started hearing about all the other women and their stories, their pieces, it was like, wow, there's a lot going on. I said, in my own little world here, there are so many people hurting, so many different stories. And I was thinking, my light afflictions, you know, these people going through some stuff. I mean, do I really have a story? She was like, yes, you got a story, because each one of these stories will reach somebody. Somebody is dealing with something that you're dealing with. And so that's how I originally got in it, because, you know, I was part of Sister Tribe, and just, you know, tracking with Princess where she's going, because I know that she's doing awesome things and great things, always looking to change the world. And, you know, just a little minute thing, like, how do I shift into a broader space and get out of the just me? And that's why I love the power of us. You know, we try to do a lot of things alone all the time. And so I was like, I need to shift that. And then, you know, I need to write again. So those were the three things that kind of got me there. But once I got hooked, I got reeled in to go deeper. Right. Drugged across the bottom of the sea. To be snatched up out of the waters into the eyes of the world.
And you know, I was sharing with Dr. Muhammad that when you went through the process, when she went through the process, each woman went through this process of writing. It's like taking a wound that has a scab on it, and you're picking that scab off, re-exposing that wound to infection, just whatever, you know, when you expose a wound to something. And you have to have some salve or some tear or something So we spoke about solutions, and we say this morning, this is just not a book to tell a story. We didn't just open up these wounds and expose them without a solution. How is that healing for you taking place through this journey, through this process? And I'm sure you're still healing in some areas. How did it take place for you, or how is it taking place for you? The healing.
The healing, like I said, I've been healing through it because I also work in deliverance ministry. And it's not the spooky kind of exorcist kind of deliverance. It's mostly inner healing, but it's, we deal with different things, and there are spirits behind certain things that we deal with. And it's getting down to the root of what's ailing you. What are you dealing with?
Mm-hmm.
So I had already been dealing with, healing ministry and knowing how to heal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when you come together with other women,
mm-hmm.
who are sharing their stories and telling on themselves. And the truth is, each time you revisit something, each time you reflect on something, you find new solutions. You find different nuances to your issue, to the real reason why you're where you are. So each time we had to come on screen, whether it be in the VIP group or we come to share with the wider community, each time I opened my mouth and began to talk and share my story or some aspect of the story, I was getting deeper revelation as to why I'm here. And then it's like, you got to tell the truth on yourself. So that's been my thing. Turn the veil to me is telling the truth on you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, what did the other person do? It's what did you do to get you there? Mm-hmm. What held you there?
Mm-hmm.
What could you have done differently? And why didn't you do that thing differently? There was something in your thinking or something in your emotions, something that held you there. So each time, like I said, I opened my mouth, whether it was to my sisters in the VIP group or to the wider community, I always get something deeper, another little piece of the puzzle of me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love your motto. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I just wanted to cut in there and say, the sisters, our other 18 Fearless Visionary sisters, helped us to heal too. Yes. Because when we went into that VIP group and over the last few months before the book came out, we all broke down our story every week, or I forgot how many times we went on and got on a live video. Because some of us, even me, I didn't do live videos, and so that was just a struggle in itself for me to get on a live video in a group and talk about my story. And so for the weeks prior, months prior to the book release, we all just took every week and we just took a little piece of our story and started to break it down. And when we did that, it just opened up so many different things that we forgot about, and we didn't, or we held or hid it inside, that we didn't want to talk about. And it just started to, like you said, a scab, it started just peeling it off. And when we got exposed, our sisters was there to help us heal, to ask us those questions, to ask us those tough questions, to get us to think a little bit deeper, to get us to go into that moment at that time and really pull out that emotion from that moment. So when you talk about healing, the VIP group, and any other Fearless Visionaries that's gonna come behind us, you gonna get healed from the power of us, from the sisters that you gonna be talking to even before the book even come out.
That's right. That's right.
So that's the healing. That's the first healing that you need. Before we even start to heal somebody else, we start trying to heal ourselves even more. So that and all this. That's the healing.
And you know what? And that's what Princess is training us too, to get on the stage in privacy before you get on the world stage.
Yeah, right. That's
get
right.
your fears out, go ahead and finish the little healing process. But not only that, when you hear somebody else's story, and I think that's the power of us telling our stories, we give other people permission to tell their stories.
Yes.
And I think about Wendy Alexander. Why?
Oh, I was about to, you stole that from me. You stole it. You stole it, Ramona. You stole it. I was about to mention her. You stole that from me. Girlfriend is trying to really respond, but I guess she's in Facebook jail right now.
But yeah, because she was like, she had to go back and write a whole different story. Because So we didn't know all the full stories yet at that time. We kind of had an inkling.
She had to write a different story.
She had to write a
Oh
different
yeah, many people did,
because
and that one did too. Lenora did too, because she came with all this kind of story, and she thought I didn't see it. I was like, "Ooh, who you think you're kidding?"
You know, we just gonna tell a little bit. I mean, and even me when I came, it was like, what piece of this do I tell? I had to be selective in what I wanted to share, because it was something, there was a resistance, you know, in me, because you know, we are really being vulnerable. That's when we're telling these stories, you know, that the world is going to hear. But you know, so other people, when they were getting on there showing these deep things, and other people were looking at it like, wait a minute, what stories y'all telling? And that was what Wendy Alexander would say. She was like, okay, I'm gonna have to rewrite. I'm gonna have to do another story, and that went deeper. And so we give each other permission to go deeper. And not be afraid to share those sensitive things. Why? Because it's not that, and I'm like this, because like I said, even in the healing ministry, when somebody comes to you with an issue, and if you've dealt with that already, then you can go like, yada, 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 because it's like, I've been there. Not that I know exactly what you're dealing with, but here's my story. And then I tell that to you, even though it's sensitive, I'm telling it to you because you're hungry, because you want light in your dark place. And I'm coming as this light in your dark place to illuminate it so you can see the possibility, so that you can come out. And so that's why we tell our stories. But otherwise, you know, it's like, I don't know you. or then we get in our way too, because we're like, well, what are people going to think about me? They saw me in this way. You know, they may have put me on this pedestal, and I'm hiding. I'm showing my good side. But now you're making me turn around. That part back here is not put together yet. You know, so when we turn the veil, we're turning the veil on the hidden things.
Right. Now let me quickly add this, like with Wendy Alexandra. That's so funny, because Wendy Alexandra, you know, everybody knows her, that she is the international strategic, you know, she's an international business strategist who lives in Dubai. You know, everybody want to be in Dubai, you know, so people know her as that. So when she came in and she started seeing people crying and weeping, and it was interesting, because when she explained it, she said she saw the visionary, but she didn't see Fearless. She said, even though Hal kept saying Fearless Visionary, her brain did not even compute with the Fearless, so she saw Visionary. So because she's a business strategist, so when she goes in there in the VIP and she saw everybody boiling, crying, and all that, she was like, wait a minute, am I in the wrong group? Am I in the wrong group? So she had to literally go back to her story and say, and prior to that, she had finished. She was one of those that first finished her story. And I would go back to her and say, Wendy, I want you to think about this story. I want you to go back and think. So she'll be looking at me like, what's she talking about? I said, I want you to go back and think about the story that you just shared. I think there's something missing. Just go back. But she wasn't having it until when people started to break down and she started to see how vulnerable people were. Then we finally figured out that she was hiding. She was one of those that had a boyfriend had a gun to her head, and she never shared it. Right? She never shared it. She only shared about Dubai, but never shared that part until everybody started to break apart, and we started to support one another. And then our story now is so different from the very first one. Every one of them will tell you that they had to rewrite their stories. Every single one of them, because I saw it and I said, imagine that you are in the film. Is this what you want to see on the theater? Will they move anybody in the theater? And anybody who will see even our trailer today will say to you that it looked like a film. That is what we wanted people to see. I wanted people to see themselves in that story, so that they can get that power of us, get that power from us, to be able to now do what they have to do, or what they must do, to be able to set their family free and set others free too.
Yes. Dr. Marty Casey said on the Facebook that our story is not for us, it's for others. And that's it.
That's right.
Our story is for other people, for others to heal. And I was reading Sister Ramona, I was reading her motto, and the motto said, I am healed to heal. And
Felicia, we can't hear you. Something happened to your voice, your sound. I can't hear you right now. Did you touch your sound? Thank you all for coming in. Please just bear with us. I can't hear you. Are you guys, are you on the same? Oh, okay.
But that's me.
can you hear me?
All right. So, Dr. Lenora, whichever one you are on right now, shut the volume so that you can have the volume of the second one. Felicia says something.
So we can hear from yours.
Can you mute yours again?
Say something.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Felicia. Guys, you cannot be close together with the two things. You gotta shut one. You gotta shut the volume down. Ramona and Dr. Lenora, you gotta shut your volume down.
How about that? Is that better?
Say something. Okay, hold on a second. You're muted, Felicia. Hold on a second. I think you're muted. Yeah, unmute yourself. Felicia, unmute yourself. Unmute.
Let's just unmute. Mute your mic. We'll use my mic. Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So
She hasn't put me in the room yet.
okay.
Okay.
So
You
then
guys can plug your
if
screen.
you're not in a room, you shouldn't be picking up on the mic. Is that right?
Okay, so my audio looks like it's off now, so hopefully we're good.
Okay, can you hear us, Princess?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna turn it up so we can hear her. Okay. You hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. So what I was saying is that Dr. Casey said that she put on the Facebook, our story is not our story for us, but it's our story for others, right? And Sister Ramona's motto says, I am healed to heal, delivered to deliver, and set free to free, and blessed to be a blessing. And I just find that that just reached out to me. And when I read that, and it really resonated with me, that's what this journey is about. We go through our story, we go through what we go through in life, not to break us, you understand? But we should allow that to build us so that we can heal others. And in doing so, I remember someone saying that fear is contagious, right?
That's right.
But our mission here is 18 fearless visionaries. So it's safe to say, would you agree that being fearless is contagious as well? Dr. Princess?
Yes, it is. It is. Whatever it is that you put out there is contagious. If you put out, good feelings, it's contagious. If you pull out evil, it's contagious. And that's the whole idea of Fearless Visionary. That way, whatever you put out is contagious. So as people begin to see us, like we have a lot of other women now that have seen us in different parts of the world. This is what is cool about Fearless Visionary. We're not just in America. We have someone in Dubai. We have someone in Saudi. We have Fatma, who is a Muslim, who is, and you would think, okay, how is she able to even cope with all of us? And it was rough initially because of the time difference or whatever, but now we're all sisters. We're not a political platform. We're not a religious platform. We're just women who wants solutions to social ills. We're just, now we happen to be Christians. Some of us happen to be Christians. Some of us happen to be Muslim, but we look beyond religion and we say, you know what, bottom line is we're women who is suffering, who've gone through something, whose voices have been silent. I mean, imagine Fatma, who in Saudi Arabia now. Imagine that. She's Fatma in Saudi Arabia. And to finally see her get on and push that button and just push that thing and went live, that was huge. Because this is somebody who's on hijab, you know, abaya, everything all covered up, and still is in Saudi Arabia. And for her to say, you know what, forget this, boom, push that button and say, here's my story, that's powerful.
Yes,
this is what is different about this mission. We really believe that we have a mandate, and it's that mandate that is opening doors for us everywhere we go. Is that mandate. It is different from other compilations out there where people just come together, write stories, put it together, nobody necessarily meeting with each other, you know, get in, release it on a day and be done with it. This is not what this is a lifestyle for us. Fearless, being a fearless visionary is a lifestyle.
A lifestyle.
What is a lifestyle? That's right.
For those who might think it's a movement, it's not a movement.
That's right. It's not a movement. We're not a movement. We're not trying to be anybody's movement. We are women who have decided that we're going to make ourselves. This is going to be the way we live our lives, telling our truths when it's necessary, standing for social justice when it's necessary, reaching out and saying, hey, I got your back when it's necessary. And that's why, because of that, I could not necessarily, hey, my sister-in-law is online, Laurie Els, welcome. I could not necessarily pick everybody. I had to go by the Spirit. And in that, isn't that interesting? I'm a born-again Christian, and the Spirit chose a Muslim, right? Muhammad. The Spirit chose Fatima. So it tells you that it goes beyond religiosity. We're not trying to be religious. We're not trying to, we have our own where we are confident in who we are. You see what I mean? I'm a born again Christian. I'm confident in who I am. The Muslims allow me to be who I am. I allow them to be who they are, right? Because we're focused on the mission and not necessarily on the petty things that cause war. We are focused on the mission. And the mission is to bring healing with our stories, transform lives, and ultimately social reformation. That's it.
The power of us.
Yes.
The power of us.
The power of us.
Thank you. As we shift, if without giving away the book, I want to talk about some of the stories, just enough to share with the listeners what the stories are about, but not giving away the book. You know what I'm saying? Because they still need to purchase to get that total healing. They need to read all parts of it. In dealing with your story, you said you lost everything. And I know there's somebody out there listening right now who lost everything. They had to learn a new normal, and it was rough. Tell us about that.
Well, I tell you what, this is what drives me. This is what drives my passion to continue on this journey of healing and recovery and restoration. I came into this country with an idea, and the thought was going to Hollywood and just, you know, being the best writer I could be and all this other blah, blah, blah. Well, I fell in love, right? Mm-hmm. And through that process, I was a young wife with two babies, a 2.5 and a 3.5. I think now I've forgotten. They're in their 30s now, so now I've forgotten. And I gave literally everything that I thought I had, and I handed it over to a man that I thought loved me just the way that I love that person. There were certain things that I did not do myself that I should have done. I did not. I was so focused on myself that I wasn't thinking about my children's inheritance. I was focused on making the marriage work and not thinking about guarding the inheritance that God placed in my hands for my children. And as a result, now somebody's going to hear this today and be set free right now. If you are in the middle of a divorce, and in the middle of that, I ended up losing everything. I was one of the largest, if not the largest employer on Staten Island, New York at that time. And I lost 2 major businesses. I lost cars. I lost home. I became homeless. Here is an African princess. Became homeless because I could not go back home. The inheritance that I had asked my dad to give me prior to him, before the man died, he gave me something that looked like my inheritance, and I handed it over. And I lost the whole thing. So I could not go back home. I didn't feel that I had a home to go back to because I felt like, what am I going to tell them? I failed. I failed. Even though they saw the signs, they were right. I was wrong. And I couldn't go back home. So I found myself and my boys, we slept literally on a hard, cold floor for 3 years, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not talking about a mattress. No, I didn't even have money for mattress. I was on a hard, cold floor for 3 years with my boys on the floor. Why? The money and the inheritance that I had been transferred over to that man. While the man lived in luxury, I was on the floor. See, that was a lesson for me too. And at that point, I felt like it was time to just give up. And I found myself on Verrazano Bridge with a car and getting ready to just plunge. All I needed to do was just release my foot from the pedal, and that was the end of it. I was plunging off of Verrazano Bridge when God instantly, in the middle of that, I saw a film reel. Now, God will speak to you with what you love, and he knew I love films. So he spoke with me with films, and he showed me the destiny, how I would impact the destiny of my children if I dare to commit their suicide. And he said, is this the legacy that you want to leave your children? A legacy of suicide, a legacy of them saying they were not good enough for their mother to stay behind. They were not enough for her to stay behind. And at that instant, I push, I reverse, and I surrendered. Yes. And I said, God, I surrender. Whatever comes now, I'm just going to hold on to your cloak. And I surrender. Even right after that, I lost my mind. When I say lost my mind, I literally lost my mind for 6 months. Didn't know where I was. And I woke up after 6 months looking for my babies. And thank God for the church folks that God put in my life who were taking care of me for that 6 months when I literally lost my mind, because it was like, wow, everything is gone. Where do I go? How do I move? And so with that, someone who was a degree older could not, look at it, when God set you up, I could not find, with a master's degree, I could not find one lick of a job. You hear me? Everybody was finding job around me. I could not find anything. The only thing that I found was a 7-Eleven. And the guy did not even put me in front. He put me in the deep freezer. And he said, if you can be cleaning the deep freezer at a graveyard shift, I'll pay you. And there I was, going into the deep freezer every night for years. Ladies and gentlemen, go into the deep freezer, clean the deep freezer. But would you know that it was at that deep freezer that God began to show me my way out of poverty. It was in that deep freezer that he began to show me the next book that I wrote, which was Your Vision Torch. People need to go and read that book, How to Re-Engineer Your Life Purpose. And it was in that freezer that he began to show me and give me the secrets to wealth, the secrets of getting out of poverty. It happened in the deep freezer. See, many of us, we think that we can use Christianity to kind of dodge the journey, right? We want to dodge and avoid the journey. And Christianity, fasting and praying doesn't mean you're going to dodge the journey. It simply means that you will have the strength to walk through that journey. Yes. And so for me, all of it came to this. I look at my life now, right? The same places they say I wouldn't go. Hollywood, you're too old, your accent is too bad, you're a woman, you're black, da, 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 da. Now, I've had about at least 5 Hollywood awards in films, right? And so the things that are happening in my life now, I'm not where I want to be. Don't get me wrong. Because every time you achieve a step, you want to go further. I'm not where I want to be, but I can certainly look back and say, oh my goodness, thank God for the journey. Thank God. These kids now are 30 and 20 something. Thank God. Thank God that he saw me through. Thank God that I allowed myself to be tamed through it. Because we need to be tamed. Our emotions and everything need to be tamed. And if you do not surrender to the process, you will never be tamed.
Yes, yes, absolutely. What would you recommend, or what would you share with our listening audience that perhaps they went through a household where they experienced, hurt and pain, and they went through a household where they experienced adversities, and they felt like perhaps their mother failed them as a mother, but now they're in their 20s and they're in their 30s and they're trying to pick up those pieces. What would be, because let's say this, you are a mental health nurse practitioner, right? And so what you will speak at this very moment can change a life. What would be your recommendation on starting that healing process for someone that's listening now, for that adult child?
Yeah. Now, this is what I'll say. Number one, courage. The word courage. For the last few days, I've been teaching on courage, that word courage. A lot of times you hear people say, oh, you've got to trust, you've got to believe, you've got to do this, you've got to surrender. But the thing is, what we're missing, the ingredient we're missing is the courage to do that, just that. Yes. The courage to do just that. The courage to be what God has called us to be. The courage to get set free. The courage to be delivered. The courage to stand up. The courage to trust. The courage to believe. The courage to surrender completely to the process. The courage to deliver and say, I'm delivered. Yes, free at last. The courage to cut out people, places, and things that do not serve your destiny. The courage. So for the last 3 days, because I've been in prayers, and that's the word that God has been giving me, that rather than my people are focused on trust, believe, set free, deliver, the ingredient to actually expressing that trust is the courage. So I say to that person listening right now, watching us, is may God grant you the courage to stand up, right, and love yourself.
And love yourself.
May God grant you the courage to say, I'm more than enough. May God grant you the courage to say, yes, my mistakes are part of me and part of my destiny and part of my greatness. So it's okay to make an error. It's okay to marry the wrong person. It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to have a bad business. It's okay, because that is part of my journey. So now for me, the last 3 days, it's a revelation for me, and I have not stopped talking about it for the last 3 days, y'all. I've just been teaching it. God's been teaching it, because that, I tell you what, when I got that, that was a ha-ha moment for me, because all this while in churches and everywhere, it's like, oh, you've got to believe. You've got to have faith. And I'm saying, but God, wait a minute now. It's not like I don't have faith. Come on, what's going on? What's missing? I trust. And God is now saying, well, the courage. You're going to need the courage to be. So to that 20-year-old who keeps going back to the past, who keep reliving the past in their minds, I say to you, you've got to muscle the courage to stand against whatever it is that's going on in your brain. You've got to look in the mirror and say, I am a fearless visionary. I have the courage to be set free. I can set myself free from the pain. I can set other people free from that pain because I have the courage. It's the courage. Look in the mirror and say, I have the courage. You look in the mirror, do whatever you need to do. If you have to do counseling, by God, do counseling. You know, there's nothing wrong with counseling. Now, find the right counselor. I'm going to tell you now.
Say that. Yeah.
I had my own share experiences. That's why I'm in mental health today. You know, so find the right counselor who understands you, the one who gets your heartbeat, who knows before you even open your mouth, he knows exactly where you're going. Yeah. That's the kind of counselor that you need. And when you take that and you take the counsel of the wise ones in the church, the counsel, if you're a Muslim in the mosque, the counsel, they said, look, there is so much wisdom in what? In counsel. There is wisdom when you have a multitude of counselors. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with us, Fearless Visionary. We counsel ourselves at the VIP, don't we, ladies? I mean, we do what we got to do to move ourselves. And if we don't hear from each other 1 or 2 days, you better believe it. Somebody's calling, somebody's trying to figure out or pull you out of that, whatever it is that you're going through, whatever that funk is, and say, get over yourself quick because we got work to do. All right. So you've got to surround yourself, right? Understand that you're not in this alone. Yes. We are in a season right now, and people need to understand it. This is what I've been saying since January. This is a season of the power of us. Many of us are used to doing things as a lone ranger. Right. The success we've had with Fearless Visionary thus far is because of that power of us. Because imagine if you're just one author trying to go to all of these countries.
Yes. Yes. Speak.
It's going to be literally impossible to do. And so, but when you come, right, and you come together with powerful, I mean, many of us now are getting ready to go to Dubai in November with powerful women from different parts of the world, the burden becomes lighter because just like the two in front of us right now, they're getting rid and taking care of that over there. I don't have to worry about it because they're doing what they have to do there, right? When we were in London, those who are representative there did what they needed to do and got us into the university, which was an incredible door. I mean, that was an incredible door that opened, you know. So this is what separates Fearless Visionary from any other corporation out there. Any other corporation out there. I do not see any other corporation doing what we're doing here because we're trying to heal ourselves too. We're not just spewing on each other or spewing our stories on people, but we're also bringing healing. We're bringing restoration, hopefully reformation, and being able to say the power of us, you know, if one person is in India, we're all in India. If one person is in London, I mean, it was incredible to see my sisters in London when I opened my eyes and they were there. It was just super. when we were at United Nations, to just look up and see my sisters there. It was just incredible that we're now getting to live a life together. Yeah. Whoever is going to be a part of this moving forward has to be somebody that is ready to take that on too, that is ready to say, you know what? Oh, Mama Louise, hey, welcome, thank you. That is going to say, you know what? This is a family, y'all. So this is not just, if you're one of those that just want to come, drop your story like a hot potato and go, you will not be picked.
She's going to tell you to sit yourself down.
That's right. Hashtag sit yourself down.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. That's powerful. And so to that 20-year-old, that 30-year-old, maybe 50, 60, 70-year-old.
That's right. That's right.
Have the courage. Have the courage. And myself, I may have to reach out to you. Not me, I will. I want to write a piece, and God has put on my heart to write a piece. And this was 3 years ago. He put it on my heart, and I haven't done it yet. The courage to change.
Thank you for inviting Mama Louise. Thank you.
Yeah, the courage to change. And I want to write just a little short piece on the courage to change, because until you have that courage, and it's powerful that you said courage, until you have that courage to change, change won't take place. They say, you have to change your mindset. But to change your mindset, you have to have the courage to change the mindset.
I'm telling you, that's it. I don't know about anybody else. It set me free, because like I said, I've been in prayers for weeks. I just said, well, God, what am I missing? What am I missing? And it was just a few days, and it said, this is what, not just you alone, but many people are missing it, because they're focused on trust, belief, faith, and all that. And they forget all of that is possible when you have the courage. Without courage, you cannot trust, right? And last night, myself and Ramona was on last night, and we actually used Queen Esther as an example. I used her I applied that courage to Queen Esther. And one of the things that I said was that with Queen Esther, right, she had the courage to trust Mordecai, the mentor. She had the courage to believe that she was a chosen person. She had the courage, and because of that, she was able to obey whatever direction that came from Mordecai, her mentor. And of course, she had the courage to surrender to that process. She had the courage to say, you know what? I'm worth it. I'm worth it. I'm good like that. I'm worth this. She had the courage to understand that what she's standing for is not about her alone, but it's about a whole society. It's about a reformation of a whole generation. She had that courage. She had that courage to be able to say, you know what? And I said something yesterday. I said, finally, she had the courage to be able to carry on those people, carry along the people that God has placed in her life, including her mentors. When she became a queen, she did not get rid of Mordecai, did she? No. In fact, she became closer to Mordecai, so that when things were happening in the spirit realm, what happened? She got the insight. She got the insight to everything that was going on through Mordecai, because she did not say, I'm now a queen. I guess I got it like that now. I don't need the Israelites. I don't need my mentor anymore. Bye-bye. She didn't do that. But she got closer even to a mentor, because she knew, because to whom much is given, much is required, much is expected. And she knew that that journey was not meant for her. She said, okay, now, so I'm going to be smart about this. I'm going to be closer. She even listened to the guards. Isn't that something? She was not pompous. She was humble. She listened to the guards. She listened to the people who understood the king. And we said something yesterday that was powerful, that we talked about, that the mission that God had on her life, the mandate that God had on her life was so good, was so cool, that God even pushed aside a queen. Isn't that something? Vashti was still married. Ladies, now, people, I can see a lot of people debating that right there. Vashti was still married. to the king. But God was like, really? You won't? Okay, so you don't get that queenship now. It's all up in your head. I'll fix you. I'll show you what happens to people who refuse to be humble. And God, right? And God brought a humble girl, even though the king was married. And the king was still married to Vashti when God did that. Now that's deep right there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you for sharing that. I want to switch and ask Sister Ramona the courage to push through post-traumatic infidelity disorder. I had never heard that term before, right?
Because she made it up.
I'm trying to see, is this in the DSM-4 or did she make it up?
Yeah, it's her word. It's her thing.
I did not make it up.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
I was that creative.
All right.
But I'm a learner.
Yes, ma'am.
So as I was going through what I was going through, I came across the term PISD, P-I-S-D, and another psychologist, a person who was working with a lot of people who were going through infidelity, he said he had saw a simulation between what they were experiencing with post-traumatic stress disorder. It was only one thing, missing, that it wasn't in post-traumatic stress disorder. So he coined it post-infidelity stress disorder.
Okay.
And so when I was reading that, I was like, because I was saying, oh, I experienced that, with the rumination. And, just with, not being able, to get my quality of sleep, and different things that, was in that. I was like, oh, wow, I experienced it. Because, see, I didn't think anything was wrong with me. I just know, you're going through some tough times, things not working out the way, you pray about it. You share what you can share, because you can't always share everything with everybody.
Yes.
Especially, people who would go on the defense for you. You like, no, it's not that kind of battle right now. I don't need to beat anybody up. I just need you to kind
take it to the streets.
Right. Because there's people who were ready to fight for me. But I was like, it wasn't a physical abuse. And that's another thing that I want to say too, is that a lot of times we don't coin things in the way that they should be coined, because we don't see abuse as being, emotional abuse or infidelity, because we say, well, men will be men, but that's not a healthy relationship. And when you are all in, and the person that you're supposed to be married to is not all in and all out, you have that incongruence there, and there's friction. And so in dealing with all of those things, I didn't really realize after the fact, when I was dealing with all of the stress that came upon me at the time, trying to figure out, what's going on here with me. And I started just reading up on relationships and infidelity. And that's when I found, that word, post-infidelity stress disorder. And I said, okay, so that's why I've been experiencing all these things that I've been experiencing. And now I know what to work on. And so, and I just, encourage people to really learn as much as you can. And that's why being in the Fearless Visionary community is a good place, a resource, because then you get language for what you're experiencing. And when you get language for what you're experiencing, now you got something that you can actually deal with. Because it's kind of been in your head, like, am I really tripping? Or, anybody else experiencing this? Or what's going on? But when you get language for it, and you can write something down, and you can look at it and examine it, then you can begin to heal from it.
Right. And you, like you say, begin to heal and begin to have the courage to change your situation when you can identify that this is real.
Right.
I like you say, it's P-I-S-T?
P-I-S.
It reminds me of pistivity. Just the abbreviation of, I'm at the highest level of pistivity with this situation.
Off a lot of times.
Yes.
So P-I-S-D, pissed. I was saying I was really right. But Christian,
Yes, ma'am.
you know, you're
Bring us
like,
back
you
around.
know, there's certain things that, you know, you feel, but you know, that you should be at this level, but you're really right here, you know, because you got some demons talking to you about hating and wanting to do harm. And that's another thing that happens too. Divorce is like a death. The spirit of death comes in to that relationship, and it wants you to destroy. It's just a destroyer. So the things that were trying to destroy me, I had to push against that darkness. And one thing, I don't know if you all saw the movie Bird Box.
Yes.
Okay, and I get revelation when I watch certain movies.
Yes.
You know, so looking at that evil, shadowy thing brought evil to the person and caused them to hurt themselves or try to hurt other people. And so that darkness that I talk about even in my story on that night, the darkness was trying to overtake me. It was causing me to go to a place that I didn't want to go, because when you're hurting, you know, it takes you to a place. And so I had to have the courage to be me, the me I wanted to be, and resist being changed into something I did not want to be. I didn't want to be that person who had to always worry about, well, where is he? He ain't home. Where is he? What is he doing? I didn't want to be that person who was always paranoid, and that's part of being post-traumatic stress disorder. You're paranoid about what's going on. Am I good enough? What is he doing? I didn't want to be that person who, you know, was hating somebody. I wanted to be a loving, kind, and forgiving person, but when you're hurt over and over again and having to forgive over and over again, it does something to you. You have to be a certain kind of person. So I had to have the courage to say who I am, not to let circumstances, situations, and people dictate who I should be, but to take the courage to say, who am I? Who is Ramona? Who am I becoming? And I had to keep that vision in front of me, who I am becoming, and have the courage day by day to step there. But I also had the courage to rescue me. Because I was trying to rescue a relationship that was never going to be what I wanted it to be.
And doing so, you know, and I'm so big on adverse childhood experiences. So thank you for sharing that with me. When we grow up in a household with a mother that has, or a father that has experienced infidelity, do you notice that sometimes they try to give those powerful, don't, you know, date a man like your daddy, don't date a woman like your father. And so we began to, as parents, to project our experiences off on our children. So by the time they do become of dating age, right, they have to deal with all this issue in their head. I think they said it's like 70,000 thoughts a day that are just, you know, bouncing off in our head. And so you got things that mama said, things that dad said, what you seen on television, what you read, you know, what your, you know, just your friends, all these thoughts. And then you enter into a relationship, right? And it's like, okay, now how do I deal with all of this? And you finally get into a relationship with someone and you think you love them, but you start investigating them because of what mama went through and what daddy went through, right? He's going to treat me like my daddy did my mama. But being fearless and becoming a part of this Fearless Visionary project, this mission, we can start breaking those chains.
Right.
We can go ahead, speak.
Well, let me say this. So, you know, I did grow up in, you know, a place where there was infidelity, you know, in you know, my household. I saw things in my, you know, siblings. And so one thing that I say, and really being part of the Fearless Visionary Trail of Veil, when you're writing that story, that, you know, and then it's not the story of your life, it's just a chapter. So a piece of it. And so when you're starting to write that, it causes you to examine your life. It causes you to start thinking deeply and reflecting. And so as I was reflecting on, you know, this of how did I get here, I had to tell the truth on myself to say, actually, it was fear that got me into the situation. And why? Because I didn't want what I saw growing up in my household. And so I thought I was playing safe. when I pick somebody, because, and see, I wasn't in love. I didn't hear the bells. I didn't see fireworks and all that. He was like 12 years older than me. And he had said he had been hurt before, and that he wanted he wanted to be married. He never wanted to get a divorce. He said all the right things that I wanted. So I figured he was safe. But unavailable love seeks unavailable love. So I had unavailable love because I grew up with unavailable love, and I was trying to run from unavailable love without really examining who I was and healing myself before just trying to pick somebody that I thought was safe. But I got unavailable love unintentionally. And because I wanted so much to hold on to the dream of what I had and not get a divorce and do that, and because I was in the church trying to be a good Christian, but I was really covering up my own lack of courage to be me and to know that I didn't necessarily need to be married, because everybody else in society will say, you know, something wrong with you if you don't get married soon, or, you know, so we listen to a whole lot of stories, like you said, a whole lot of things in our head that are causing us to make choices that are not the best choices for us. And the fear of, you know, there's something in the Bible, you know, that was saying that the man ran from, you know, the bear, he ran into a snake, he ran from the snake and ran into his house and leaned up against the wall and got bit by a spider. Oh. So in that parable, we're running from things in life, avoiding things, and we get bit by the very thing that we're running from if we don't stop and deal with it. So we have to deal with us, having the courage to find out who you are before you get into a relationship with somebody else. Find out who you are. Sort through all of the noise. Sort through everything that you've been through, because what you've been through, your past does not have to dictate your future. But if you go into something fearful already, then it cannot work. You have to be fearless in every area. And I would encourage the 20-year-olds, you know, you don't know who you are. I was 25 when I got married. Thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I had this all together. Right. You know, but learn who you are. Have the courage to learn who you are, what you like, who are you becoming, who do you want to be. And once you hold that, nobody can change you from it.
Yes. Yeah, and what I will piggyback on there to say is, when you get in a relationship, don't let their relationship change you. Right. Because in my story, that's something that almost happened to me, because I started dealing with a person that had his own agenda. And he was living his life a certain way, which was not in tune with how my life was. But when you think you in love and you start to have people object their opinions on you, and when you didn't initially, because a lot of people in our community didn't have a father, didn't have guidance, didn't have, maybe not even had a mother, you know, in their life to give them guidance and tell them which way to go, and put those little bugs in your ear. Because Felicia talked about hearing what the parents say, but what if you don't have a parent? You know, what if you are listening to other people, just your friends in the neighborhood, or you just trying to learn on your own, and then you get into a situation and you don't know what to do. And so you start to make these choices that are not the most healthiest choices that you can make, and you start to become somebody other than who you are. Right. And so in my story, I almost lost myself. And for us, I think I had two strikes. I'm a woman, so I got a caring heart. I just want to love on people. That's what women do. We try to be nurturing. We try to take care of people. We try to just fix the problem for them. We try to do all of that. And then secondly, I'm a nurse. So a caring nursing heart just want to get the diagnosis, want to figure out what's wrong with you. Get the medication.
Overwhelming. That's right.
Around that leg. I'm gonna make you heal again. You're gonna walk. I'm trying to do everything. And so I think I had two strikes against me in my relationship, because I'm a woman, I'm caring, I'm nurturing, and then I'm trying to heal you, but maybe it's not my place to do that. Maybe you got to get your healing internally from, and know that you yourself got a problem. I can't fix your problem for you. And so I think that we got to let our young people know, and we got to let, it ain't even just young people, it's some people that still dealing with this to this day, that are seasoned people that are dealing with this. So you just got to know not to lose yourself, and that you got to sometimes sometimes take a step back and realize that you might not be the person that can heal this person. It may be in somebody else, and not lose yourself in that. And so that's what I would say, and try to get yourself out of that maze and get yourself out of that situation, and have the courage to get yourself out of that situation. When you see that you have done everything that you could possibly do, and everything that you have, if you seek counseling or you try to do everything that you can do and it's still not working, then you got to try something else, and you got to have the courage to be strong. Because a lot of people don't want to leave a relationship because they're like, oh, well, I don't know what's waiting for me outside there, or, where is this going to take me, or whatever. You just got to have the courage to get yourself out of that situation and move on, because you don't know what's waiting on the other side. It could be something better.
Right. And I totally agree with that, because I know in my situation, the more, and Bishop T.D. Jakes said something that was powerful to me. He said, the reason why you feel the way that you feel and you fight so much for what you're fighting for is it shows that you are invested. If you weren't invested in a relationship, you like, bye, sucker.
Yes.
You would have been gone, nothing sort of, but when you invest a lot, and sometimes that's what gets us, that investment. But are you investing in the wrong thing?
Yes.
It's like in the stock market. If you're investing in a stock that's failing and losing money all the time, and you didn't have the wisdom to pick the right stock in the first point, and just because you invested and put a lot in it, but you're losing. So at some point, there's a diminishing return that you get to, that no matter how much more you pour into this, you will never get any more out of it. And so we have to have the courage to lose all, to let go of everything that we've invested to rescue ourselves.
Ooh, say that again. The courage to lose all. I love that.
The courage to lose all, so that we can rescue ourselves and start over. Because I found that I was dying on the vine while I was trying to pour into this marriage and work this field. And in my mind, I saw like a field, like, have you seen like a dry field, like in the desert place? But you see a few little things growing, but they're struggling to grow. And so, but you're working the land. You're like, oh, I see a little bit. Something is coming up. So I'm gonna keep working it. Maybe by working a little bit harder. Maybe if I cry a little bit more and put some more water for some tears of watering this place, maybe it's gonna come up. Maybe something's gonna come. Oh, I'm getting a little bit of, of like joy, because I see something is happening, something is changing, but it's not enough to sustain you. And when you work so hard and put so much into it, you are exhausting yourself. You are, depleting yourself. Because guess what? The person that you're pouring into is not pouring back into you. They're sucking up everything that you're giving them and taking it outside of the house, giving it to other people, other women, and so you might as well cut your losses, even though you've invested many of years and many of tears and many of things. Take the courage to take the loss.
To rip the veil.
To rip the veil, to say, I am sowing into a place that will never sow back into me. I'm sowing into a place that will never celebrate me. I'm sowing into a place that will never appreciate me. Sowing into somebody who does not have the capacity to be a husband, to be a friend. Whatever the relationship is, some people just don't have the capacity. They may want to, and I try to give credit. I try to see the good in people. You picked me because you saw something in me. You wanted that wife. You wanted that, but you didn't have the capacity to be the husband for the wife that you saw and wanted. And so I have to have the courage to let you go, to bless you away. And also the courage to forgive you for not having the capacity. Forgive you for all the hurt that you brought to me. Forgive you and to bless you away out of my life, so that I can rescue me now. Because I tried to rescue you, the relationship, other people, now I got to pour back into me. So the courage to love me, the courage to be good to me. Being good to me sometimes is saying no to other people. Being good to me is sometimes having the courage to cut my losses so that I can heal and replenish myself. And sometimes we think, oh, this is all I got. I've been working this so hard, and this is all I got. So if I let this go, I'll have nothing. But that's a lie. Because as long as you have life and breath, you know that you're creative, your powerful creative self. You know you can reinvent yourself. You know that more can come, but that's a lie that we tell ourselves to stay stuck. So we have to have the courage to let go of what we were working so hard toward, the courage to let go of what's not working, and the courage to be good to ourselves so that we can heal, replenish. And then there's always more on the other side. I'm a witness here, sitting here to tell you that there's better for you. But when you make up your mind that, okay, I'm done working, and sometimes we have to get to that point to say, I've done everything, because I don't want to feel like a failure. I don't want to feel like a quitter. So, but once I said, okay, I've tried everything that I know, okay, I'm done now. I can walk away. But if I feel like, well, I didn't try everything, I would have been stuck there.
My grandmother used to say that when you're good outweigh the bad, you stay. But when the bad outweigh the good, you go. And I live my life by that. You know, another thing Grandma used to say, if a person cannot die your death, don't let them live your life.
Oh, wow.
And I live my life by that. And I noted that you have 300 quotes and biblical scriptures that was shared with you.
Yes. Mama had a saying for everything. And I put some of them in that chapter.
Yes.
That's how I live my life too. And she would say, you can't get blood out of a turnip. And I was trying to get blood out of a turnip. And I had to realize I had a turnip. Because I kept trying to see more. It was a turnip all along, but I chose to see more because I had a dream. I had a vision. I wanted my dream and my vision to work, and I was going to do everything I have a bulldog tenacity. Once I lock on to something, I'm going to work in it. And sometimes your strengths become your weaknesses.
Yes.
In situations.
Yes.
And so I was seeing hope for that turnip. It's more than a turnip. but when I had to tell the truth,
she put on the magic glasses. The magic glasses.
Right.
It's not a turnip.
Rose-colored glasses in our relationships and situations, and when we're talking about ourselves, we put on those rose-colored glasses. And therefore, we have to take off those glasses and see what's in front of us. Call it what it is.
Yes.
Courage to call it what it is. What about that?
Yes. Dr. Muhammad, thank you for sharing, Sister Ramona. I appreciate what you have shared with our viewers in reference to just knowing your value, your worth, and knowing when to cut loose. Dr. Muhammad, share with us some of the things the readers can expect. Now, don't give away the book. If you want to know, you got to purchase the book. And we're going to put the website down there for you. Where you can find that book. But Dr. Muhammad, share with us some of the things that the viewers can expect to hear. What did you have to triumph past? What did you have to say? You know what? I am victorious in this area. And you wrote, what Princess, what did you have to pull out of them?
But Princess was not lying. I was trying to do the hopscotch. I was trying to hop over here to the good stuff.
She was so, I tell you, she was so funny. I mean, I got a kick out of her. I tell you, I would tell her, okay, read this story to me again, and she'll be reading it. And you could really, literally see her touch a little bit of something, and when the pain is like, oh no, I can't do it. And she'll just hop onto something else. It was so vivid. And I would just laugh and say, okay, Dr. Lenora, there's something you're not sharing here, because she's looking at me like, there's something you're not sharing here. I commend them, because they literally had to go to places that they thought they were overwhelmed. We have one of us that was gang raped by 8 men. Now imagine her having to go through that again. So every single one that you're seeing here, that are sitting here with you, they went through, they had to go there, because the way they wrote the stories, it's like a movie. They wrote it different. I taught them to write in frames like movie. And because of that, they had to go there. The one who was dealing with the mother that was dying of cancer went literally there. Every one of them went back. Dr. Lina went back to seeing that person who was shot at the door. Everybody went there. So this I mean, this experience is a spiritual journey because everybody had to go back to that place that they were very vulnerable.
Yeah.
So it was okay for them to, like, you know, jump around for a little bit. But after a while, I had to say, okay, now stop. Okay, enough is enough.
Yeah, she pulled me in. She pulled me
It's
in.
like, okay, now, all right. I had my spirit. I enjoyed it. Now let's do. Can we write the real story now?
Right. And then, you know, I think the hardest part in my story to talk about was, and actually I divided my chapter into like sub chapters. So if you go to check your luggage, that was the hardest section for me to write. And it kind of piggyback on what Ramona was just saying. You got to let some of these things out of your life. And so in Check Your Luggage, I talk about intimate domestic violence with a boyfriend of mine. And, you know, like I said, when you in a situation, you don't really know you in a situation. You just living life and you just, you know, you just doing what you think you're supposed to do. And at that point, I was losing myself, and then that relationship became abusive. And so the lesson I had to learn in that is that I got to check my luggage. I got to let go of that baggage that's weighing you down. And in one of my prior live videos, I talked about when you go to the airport, you put that luggage on that conveyor belt and you let and see it go down the conveyor belt and then go in a little black space, and you don't know where it went, but you know it's going somewhere. And sometimes you got to let those toxic people in your life get on that conveyor belt and fade into the black. So you don't see them no more, and you don't worry about what they're doing, and you focus on, okay, now on a different flight. Yeah, hopefully they lose that baggage, lose that luggage, and they get to somewhere else so that you can continue on your journey on where you supposed to be going, where you and your mind was intended to go. The title of my chapter is Destination Unknown. I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm getting the heck up out of here. And so that's what, you know, Princess Foamy had to pull up out of me, because I was trying to tiptoe around that, and I really didn't want to touch on that. But once you you know, you open up and you have the courage, like she said, to start to speak your truth and really start to speak what happened in your life, that's what you got to do. And that was the lesson I had to learn. You just got to let some people go, because they're not meant to be in your life. They only there for a reason, whatever that reason is. You might not even know, but that person was there for a minute, but now it's time for them to go. And you got to have the courage to let them go and let them fade into the black and be out your life. So
Absolutely.
And just to piggyback on that for relationships, you know, it's been said that, you know, you have different kind of relationships. Some for a reason, some for a season, some for a lifetime. Yeah. And when you get them confused, that's what gets you stuck. So if you thought you had somebody for a lifetime, they were there for a reason. So I look in my marriage to say that was for a reason. And and the reason was based on, you know, the fear that got me there in the first place. And so the reason was for me to learn the lesson about who I was. And I did actually learn that lesson, because it taught me who I was coming through adversity, you know, to be able to keep your identity, like you said, not let people change you. You know how strong you are, because people will try to take you down and take you out. They'll do things to hurt you because they're trying to break you. But when you can stand through that and still come out, you know, being who you are, then, you know, that tells you what fabric you're made of. So, but that was for that reason. Yeah, and learn that lesson, because sometimes we need to learn a lesson that is something more for us, is something better for us, is something else that we're trying to get to. And sometimes you have to just go through that lesson, and sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it's hard. You're going to cry your eyes out. You're going to go kicking and screaming. You don't want to leave, but you just got to go, you know, learn your lesson from it and move on. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Dr. Muhammad, share with us one more. You had a couple of chapters,
Yeah, I have a couple of sections in there. The last part of my story was about going into corrections. And again, it was that common theme of people trying to change who you are, trying to dim your light. You know, I'm a happy, go-lucky, bubbly person. Yes. I'm always smiling. Yes. I'm married to a firefighter. We call him Sonny because he's always smiling. His mama named him Sonny. Nickname him Sonny because he always smiling. So I think that's what connected us together, because we two smiley people, you know. And when I went into corrections, people tried to dim my light and make me stop smiling. And I just talked briefly to one of the officers that approached me one time. I was passing medication, and she came up to me and she said, "Why are you always smiling?"
Yes.
And I said, "What? You know, like, really? I mean, like, you ask someone that?" But that's just who I am. And I'm not going to let you, I'm not going to let the patients, the inmates change who I am. This is an environment that I'm in, but you should not let that environment change who you are or dictate who you're supposed to be. And so that was another lesson I had to learn. I will not let you change who I'm supposed to be, because I got through checking my luggage. Now I'm on to a better path. So I definitely not going to let you change me now.
Speak now.
And so,
take us to church on a Sunday morning.
So, you know, I'm just not going to let you dim my light. I'm going to continue to shine. And if you smart, you will shine with me, you know, and you will try to learn something from me so that you can take off in your life. So, so all of the 18 Fearless Visionaries in this book, and like we said, it's a book of missions. We all was on a mission in our stories to help somebody to do something, to heal from something, do something, be somebody, and that's really what we tried to do in this book. That's what we tried to do.
Oh, thank you for sharing. So let's go through the 18. Let's list their names and say who they are, and just so the audience can know and where they're from, if we have that. I see you have a list of.
Oh yeah, I can start it off, Princess. So we got 2 volumes of the book. And volume 1, we have first up on our list in no particular order, because I don't think this is how it goes in the book, but we have Wendy Alexander, and she is living in the United Arab Emirates in Dubai. She's gonna be hosting the book launch in Dubai. And Wendy, and let me do this, because Princess Fumi said we all have the courage. So I'm gonna tell you what some of these Fearless Visionaries had the courage to do. So Wendy Alexander, Fearless Visionary, she had the courage to move to the Middle East, when that's not just a popular thing to do. Move to the Middle East and get away from homelessness, joblessness, being depressed, being suicidal. She had the courage to do that. Then we have Erica T. Johnson from Houston, Texas, in the United States. And Erica had the courage to stand up after being gang raped by 8 men after a college concert that she went to. She had the courage to stay strong and move on from that. Then we have myself. We had not already talked about myself, but I had the courage to come out of poverty. And I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, for you guys that don't know. I had the courage to be something other than what I was supposed to be, coming from the ghetto, from the hood, and taking that opportunity to be a doctor of nursing practice, to move out from that. Then Yolanda Dupree from Atlanta, Georgia. Yolanda had the courage to stand in front of her daughter and listen to her tell her that she had been suicidal before, and she had no idea that her daughter had been suicidal before. She had the courage to listen to that and listen to the pain that came from her daughter from that. And she got a couple of different stories in her book too as well. Fatima Muhammad from Algeria, by way of, she in Saudi Arabia right now. Fatima, she had the courage to deal with the outdated practices of living in Algeria and being born a woman, because in that environment, being born a male is what's in, that's what's looked highly upon. So she had the courage to tell her story and come out from that hijab and push that button, like Princess said, and be able to tell her story. So she had the courage to do that. You want to take over, do some? We want me to keep up though.
Keep on.
Okay, Florida.
You flowing.
Santana Jonas. I'll let you do that. Okay, Florida Santana Jonas from New York City, upper north of New York State. She had the courage to deal with her college son being falsely accused of rape on the college campus. She had the courage to walk through that system of trying to get justice for her son. Ramona Phillips, Fearless Visionaries from
New Jersey.
New Jersey, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ramona, from New Jersey. And she had the courage to deal with a lot of trauma in her life. Oh my God, if you listen to Ramona's story, she has been through trauma from a very, very young age of having to deal with abuse in her home, watching her mother be abused by men, and then herself being almost a victim of murder in her own household. So she had the courage to keep standing and being trauma defeated. Then we have J.K. Frederick, our fearless visionary from the UK, London, England. J.K., oh my gosh, she had the courage to deal with female genital cutting at a young age, and then being depressed and suicidal from that experience that she went through. So those are the fearless visionaries from volume 1 that had the courage to tell their stories about their lives and what's going on.
All right.
Okay, so in volume 2, we have fearless visionary Chanel Washington by way of Philly, but I believe Chanel is now in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And she had the courage to, after being delivered from a prison sentence for domestic violence, to rebuild her life as a nurse. And you know it's hard, you know, once you have a record, it's hard to rebuild your life. So she became an entrepreneur. So a courage to reinvent her life after that situation. Makita D. Collins. Now, I'm not sure where Makita is located now.
Makita D. Collins is about bullying.
I mean, it's about bullying. Where's she located, though?
Oh, Makita is up north, I think New York, that area. Makita is all over the place up there. So
Yes. And so,
I think she's either in Philly, Delaware, up north, right there.
Okay. So, but she was bullied and had dyslexia and teased while she was in school and growing up. So she always dealt with rejection. So she had the courage to break through rejection and to become the beautiful, phenomenal entrepreneur, preacher, prophet that God called her to be. Onyinye Chukwuwa Onyomewa. She is from Canada. She's a fearless visionary. She had the courage to come through being molested by cousins and courage to break through a family secret, and then to help deliver others from childhood sexual abuse. Dr. Debbie Olusa, she is our fearless visionary who had the courage to become a homemaker at the age of 9 and to walk through that terrible time of her mother dying from breast cancer and her having to step into that place. And she is located in New Jersey. You've already heard about me, fearless visionary Ramona Jones, right here in St. Louis. Hey, SDL. I had the courage to come out of an unfaithful marriage for 26 years and reinvent myself after post-traumatic stress disorder, and to heal through it and to continue to help others to heal. Fearless visionary Dana Priyanka. She is from Seattle, Washington area. And Dana had the courage to break through being delivered from sex trafficking as a child. She was stolen in India from her family and saved from being part of that child sex trafficking, only to come to the United States to be adopted into a family of a narcissistic person who did not care for her. So the courage to break through abandonment and rejection, to rebuild her life, and even now she's pregnant with her own child, to set new boundaries and standards for family, for what it is to be a mother and a parent, to break through the fear of not being able to be a good mother because of the experiences that she didn't have with her own family, but to break through that and to say, I am a good mother, I am a good person, I'm a good woman. The courage also to forgive those who hurt her. Fearless visionary Dr. Eve Angel Hines Savage. She is in North Carolina. She is a fearless visionary that had the courage to break through suicidal thoughts and to break through rejection and all the hurts and traumas of her family, and the fears that she had and the panic attacks that she had, to be a person who is really pushing for social change with social technologies and media to help other people get the services that they need for mental health and other social services. Edna Nujoko, we call her Chi-Chi.
Chi-Chi.
And Chi-Chi is, where's Chi-Chi located?
Michigan.
She's all over too, though. Chi-Chi is our fearless visionary who had the courage to leave an abusive marriage with no papers, to run and to rescue herself, to start her life over as a single mother, and to live her dream to become a filmmaker. And she's also a comedian.
All right.
Yes.
She does stand-up comedy.
Yes.
All right.
And finally, fearless visionary Cherry Charles. And Cherry Charles is from the Boston area. She's our fearless visionary who had the courage to go on and live her life of fulfillment, even though she could not herself have children. She went through several painful miscarriages and had to give up her dream of being a mother. And then to also have the courage to restore her faith in God. Because sometimes when we're a Christian and we're going through those things and we're asking why, so why should I even, serve God, or what is my reason to live? But she found a reason to live beyond her hurt and pain and her inability to have a child, to go on to create a ministry with her husband and to travel, to Africa and different things to heal other children in other communities.
And all of our fearless visionaries wouldn't be telling our story or had the courage to be in this group and in this setting and on this platform if it wasn't for Dr. Princess Ruby Hancock, who had the courage to be an African princess coming to America with a dream and having to suffer through a relationship that was not healthy, that led her to become suicidal, to have her put on a pedal on that bridge that night, to have the courage to want to live for her family and have the courage to want to start over, to start fresh, to start anew, to start a chapter in her life where she can help other people and empower other ladies and women in this country to tell their stories and be powerful in their own right. So we all 18 fearless visionaries came together to have the courage to write this book of missions together so that we can help all of you guys that's listening today and all of the people that's not listening today, because we want you to go out and buy this book so that if you know somebody that's going through anything that we talk about in these chapters that we just described, if you know anybody, we want you to go out and purchase that book so that you can start to help other people in your life to heal from what they're going through. So you might not be the person that needs the healing, but maybe you that person that's in your friend's life for a reason to bring them fearless visionaries so that they can tear their veil.
Right.
Okay? So that's what we want, and that's what we on a mission to do, Miss Felicia.
Absolutely.
Right. And just to say our new mission that we have, Prices, I don't know if you have it written out, but the gist of it is that we tell our stories to heal and to transform, because we know that transformed people can reform society.
Yes. Yes.
So, Princess, thank you for coming from the deep freeze to deep freeze.
I know, right? My deep freezer.
Yes. And so,
Praise God.
go ahead, Princess. Did you want to?
Oh no, I was just laughing at because on Periscope people used to call me the deep freezer lady, because my story was always about the deep freezer where God showed me the way out. So that's Ramona trying to be funny right there.
Right. Well, so you know what? There are some still today living in that deep freezer.
Yeah, that's
Although
right.
they're not physically there, they have their mind.
Yeah.
It's in a deep freeze state.
That's right.
And if you want to be fearless, if you want to be broken, if you want to break those chains and free yourself, purchase this book. and just read on how these women with strength and determination fought and broke past all those things that was meant to break them.
Yes.
It was meant to break them.
Yes.
But instead it built them.
Oh,
and so that is awesome in itself. I love the dedication. It says, to all the women across the globe suffering and itching to tear the veil, but are unable to, we salute and declare that your day has come to push past fear. So if you want to, I'm just going to hold this up. I don't have a book to hold up, but I want to talk about this here.
Thank you.
We're coming to a city or a country near you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Fearless Visionary Turn the Veil World Tour.
That's right.
Yes.
All right. The power of us, not one. And so we have the ebook launched back in February, and we're all the way down here to June 22nd.
Yes, that's actually going to be the first U.S. national launch here in the United States. It's going to be hosted by Yolanda Dupree. It's going to be a red carpet event, so we're going to be looking real nice, and we're going to be on live so you can see what's going on at that book launch. But we're super excited for that event.
Yeah. So just a little bit about where we've been. We've been to Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. We've been to the United Nations in New York. We've been to London, England, the University of East London. And we've also been to Paris, France. And we've also been to a church in London, England. We've been to Delhi, India. And we've been here in St. Louis.
St. Louis, yeah. Just yesterday, we did a little book signing at the Black Nurses Association of Greater St. Louis. Shout out to DNA.
DNA in the house. I'm just going to say, too, I know when I went to nursing school, and I have a story in my, so I'm volume 3, put me down.
Okay.
I have a story within myself.
All right.
I went to nursing school with 6 children and a husband that was very trying. And I remember there was another young lady in that class who had 6 children. And she said, we got all the way up to 3rd semester. And I decided I was going to drop out midway 3rd semester. And, I'm the kind of person, I don't like people to come to my house. Like, you need to call me and make an appointment to get here. Mm-hmm. Don't just pop up knocking on my door. So she pops up and she knocks on my door. Like, wait a minute, I'm thinking to myself, I had missed 3 days of class and 2 days. If I would have missed the 3rd day, I would have been put out the program. So on that 2nd day I missed, she pops up at my door after school was out and she says, and I was so like, I'm ready to be pissed, right? But she was more pissed than I was because here we were with 2 mothers with 6 children, right? Living in the projects. And she knocked on my door so hard when I opened it, I wanted to get mad. She was more mad and I was just listening. She says, I expect to see you in class tomorrow. Out of everybody in that class, we needed more than anyone. And I said, okay, I'll be there. So I sit here today, a registered nurse. I sit here today, a registered nurse, because she was fearless. She fiercely knocked on my door. She had that, and I'm not playing with you today face. You know what I'm saying? And I was in class. Hey, you know what I'm saying? And when I walked in, the teacher who was giving me the hardest time just had a smile on her face. And it said in my spirit that this lady really didn't dislike me. She was glad that I came back. But I'm not sure why she was giving me the hardest time in the classroom, but I could see that peace on her face, like, I'm glad you made it. On today, I say to someone, we're glad you tuned in.
That's right.
We're glad you took the time to be with us on this morning, because there's a message for you to receive, either for yourself or to share with someone else. Yeah. And I encourage you to share this video. I encourage you to follow the Fearless Visionary I encourage you to purchase her the veil, not only for yourself, but for a friend. Our children are hurting. The Bible states, my people perish for that lack of knowledge. We have information in this book for you to receive that can heal someone else. And so we ask on this day that you support this mission. Stand by our sisters, and not for them, but for yourself and for those in your community. The power of us. We thank you. Is there anything else that you all would like to add before we go? How do we donate? How does the audience reach you?
Well, we have an official website, and it's fearlessvisionaries.com. They can always reach us there. We have a mailing list where you can sign up for the mailing list, so that way, as we walk through all the things that we do, you can get information from us. You can always reach us on Twitter. We ask that you help us to tweet the power of us, tear the veil, hashtag tear the veil, hashtag the power of us, hashtag Fearless Visionaries. Those are the three powerhouse tags that we have. We ask that once a week, at least remember us and just hashtag whatever it is that you're doing on your own social media, and just hashtag that, because we really do need that help. We're on Instagram as Fearless Visionaries. We're on Twitter as Fearless Visions. We're on Facebook as Fearless Visionaries. So join the community of Fearless Visionaries, because right now, you're right now in the middle of our community of women and men, by the way, and men, because there are men there too, who support what we're doing. They understand that we're not trying to be a movement, but we're trying to be a lifestyle. We're trying to build women that can see being fearless as a lifestyle, and not just a movement, but a lifestyle.
Yes. Thank you.
And you can buy the book if you haven't got it yet, because we know a lot of y'all went and got the ebook, which helped us to become best-selling authors on Amazon in 7 categories. But if you want your hard copy, it's right now, it's available on Amazon. And you can also go to Linktree, which is linktr.ee/Fearless Visionaries, and you can go on and you can get volume 1 and volume 2. So make sure you get both sets, because it's a story, as we already described, a story for everyone, and we touch on a lot of different social topics, so we don't want you to miss out. So thank you guys so much.
And the book print is very nice. It's very plush. It's well done. I mean, you will love it. You will really, I mean, it's amazing. Just the touch to the hand is really beautiful.
There's some pictures in here, isn't there?
Yeah, at the beginning of each chapter.
Okay. Yeah, there's pictures at the beginning of each chapter. So you'll get a chance to see what the author looks like. And what that does for me is it puts a face with the words. And you can more so relate to it. I was trying to find here. Wait. See here?
Oh, yeah.
And so that's beautiful. So besides going to Atlanta, Georgia, they're touring to New Jersey in September the 14th, New York, September the 8th, and is that Halifax, Canada?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Canada, yeah.
That's September the 18th, North Carolina, coming to a city near you, September the 20th and the 21st. St. Louis.
Yay.
October the 5th, stand up. And then it's Calgary, Alberta, Canada, October the 12th. I believe that's Dick Gregory's birthday. Houston, Texas, in October. Dubai, an FD dinner seminar.
Fearless Visionaries dinner seminar.
Oh, where is that?
It's in Dubai too as well.
Okay,
it's a whole week actually in Dubai.
A whole week, November the 4th to the 10th, and then Friday, Saturday, November the 8th and the 9th, they're going to have the dinner and seminar. Excellent. And then we have Seattle, Washington, November the 23rd, and Michigan, December the 7th. And then we have Fatima Muhammad, date to be announced. Where can they find the calendar?
Fearlessvisionary.com. Once they go into fearlessvisionary.com, They'll find our official trailer there. They'll also find not just the official trailer, they'll also find the wall tour. They'll see the click wall tour. They can click on the click on that wall tour, and it will give them. We're always updating that. As we get more places, we're always updating that. And we're also going to continue to update it for 2020. But for now, we're focused on 2019. And as God guides us, we continue to add more places to it.
Right. And also on that same page, you'll be able to go and sign up to see if you will be the next Fearless Visionary for 2020.
All yes, right. We know you got a story in you, so tear that bell.
I'll be the first one. So I thank you for joining another episode of FeeNominal Radio. Special thank you to our guest, Princess Umi Hancock, as well as Dr. Muhammad and Sister Ramona. Thank you all for joining us on today. All right.
Thank you for having us.
Bye.
Thanks
for having us.
Bye, everybody. So let me just hold up and shut down the let me shut down. Bye, everybody. Let me shut down.
Bye. Thank you for
share this video.
Share and comment.
Do we shut down a recorder?
Yeah, I want to shut down Periscope first, and then let me shut down Facebook, and then this will be the last one. Zoom will be the last one. So bye, everybody on Facebook. Thank you so much for having those of you who joined us on Twitter. We appreciate you. Thank you all so much for being a part of this wonderful experience. Oh, Doug, is this Wendy? You're still holding on there, even though they put you in jail. Facebook jail, you all. Facebook jail, because I don't want people calling me and saying, oh, is she in jail? Facebook jail. So bye, everybody on Facebook. We're going to shut down Facebook now. Just bear with me. Let me make sure we're off of Facebook. Let's see. Where are we? Just bear with me for a second. Okay. We're still on Facebook, so.
Yeah.
All right, we are off of Facebook, and hold on a second, and let me